Everyone, I'm Micaela, and this is why humans are still needed in GenAI. So let's talk a little bit about what GenAI evals look like today. You might be kind of familiar with some different kinds of things. The slides on the screen are different than the slides up here. That's cool. Anyway, the first evaluation metric that you might have is these statistical metrics. These are going to be your traditional precision, recall, F1 kinds of things, but they require a right answer to check against. You can't compute true positives or true negatives without the right answer. And that leads to the question, what does right mean to GenAI? We know these systems are non-deterministic. They're often generating their own answers. There's no binary right or wrong because there's more than one way to be right and more than one way to be wrong in these kinds of systems. So the next time you have is a rubric-based evaluation. This helps get around sort of that right and wrong binary that we were just talking about. In a rubric-based system, you're going to evaluate your response based on criteria. So here we have a whole bunch of different categories where you can evaluate for things like compliance and next steps. But how are you going to create these criteria and how are you going to grade the responses? Models are okay at this, but they're not great. And there's a lot of expertise that you're going to need to be able to build these systems so that they're easily representable. The third technique that you might have heard of is LLM as a judge. This is where you use an LLM or another model to judge the outputs of a given model or a system with our little robot judge friend over here. And this is a great way to sort of speed up the impact that your people might have, get really robust evaluations. But how are you going to know that your judge is acting in line with your expectations? After all, judge models are still models, and models are not right 100% of the time. So the answer to all of these questions that we've just asked, when my slide changes here in a minute, is humans in the loop. There's no replication here for the expertise and the knowledge that your humans are going to be able to provide. And humans are going to play a few different roles in this evaluation process. So the first role that they're going to play here in this evaluation process is the role of an evaluator. So they're going to evaluate your LLM as a judge use case. You're going to understand edge cases and nuances in a way that a program simply can't. You're also be able to impart your own knowledge and your own human understanding, especially good for like your less obvious choices. Humans are also going to act as creators. They're going to be able to write rubrics. They're going to build prompts. And they're going to help you create sustainable evaluation systems that hinge on the knowledge and the expertise that your humans already have. Especially if you're training models that aren't built in the system, they're not really going to work that well without the humans. And finally, humans can act as quality control. So this is a screenshot from our product, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But here we're evaluating a machine translation experiment. And we're able to look at random samples of model predicted outcomes so that you can constantly monitor and evaluate. But bringing humans in the loop shouldn't be painful. We as humans don't like to do things that are hard or challenging or going to slow us down. And so I'm here to tell you that with Label Studio, it doesn't have to be so bad. So this is an example of a spreadsheet. You might have used these to label your data in the past. I will tell you this is an AI-generated spreadsheet, so a lot of these are not real words. But you can imagine that if you're trying to grade a rubric in a spreadsheet, you're going to get lost, you're going to get confused, you're not going to be able to acknowledge what comes from where. So I present to you a UI that will be better for this. Here, the Label Studio UI is completely customizable and configurable to any kind of annotation that you might be doing. Here you can see that we're looking at grading a rubric against a sample data set. So we can go ahead and click right through, give people scores, get the numbers calculated on our behalf, and then we can leave comments as well if we want to. And as I said, this platform is completely configurable. So whether you're doing a rubric-based evaluation like this or more traditional data labeling, basically any type of data, wherever you are in the life cycle, we have a platform for you. And no matter where you are in the life cycle, you're going to need humans. So if you're building a training data set, humans are really great for that. If you're building a model and you're trying to test model versions, you might want to do something called benchmarking, where we take a held out test set and we evaluate based on the same data and the same scoring methodology against different models. If you're in production deployment, you're probably looking to evaluate existing rubrics, evaluate existing data sets to make sure that your model is performing in line with your expectations. My biggest advice to you is to automate, automate, automate. Label Studio and many other platforms like it have built-in APIs and SDKs that you can use to pipe your data in and out of the system in a way that's going to be almost seamless. This means that your humans can do what they're best at and let your models do the rest. I'm Micaela. You can visit our booth number 21 near the community corner. I'm also giving a demo today. If you want to learn more about benchmarks and rubric-based grading, you can come see me at the booth. Thank you for your time.